It's windy and cold. Let's get inside. What's up, guys? I want to know if I actually remember how to use this camera. It's been kind of a minute. What has been going on? Well, I just been really busy with life. So a couple things have changed. Obviously, you saw in some of our last video, people that like follow the channel. We don't have the Panda Z anymore because we crashed it. That was the middle of this year, and we're still trying to like decide like where to go and what kind of to build next. I should have some news on that in the next couple weeks. In the meantime, what have I been doing? Just a lot of work, like car-related work. We pulled this thing out of my garage. This is Panda's other car that he kind of stored away and was planning on making a drag car out of it. But it kind of took a back seat while we had the Z. So now that the Z is kind of out of the way, Panda's feeling a little bummed out about not having a fast car. So we put this on the list of things to do, and we're kind of getting cracking on it. So surprisingly enough, I assembled his motor. I picked up some amazingly affordable parts off eBay to throw a turbo on it, including like a CX Racing turbo. We'll get into all that a little bit later. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna take you guys through the day because I haven't videoed or done anything for so long, and it just kind of feels fun. And there was somebody in the comment section that commented on one of my last videos, like, hey dude, it's been like forever, why don't you put a video up? And I really appreciate that because sometimes I wonder, like if anybody's even watching. So things have calmed down a little bit for me. I'm not quite as busy as I was. So throughout the next couple months, as we get into boost weather, I should be able to put some really cool dyno stuff and some other projects in the videos. All right, so Turbo Prelude's back on the dyno for some more shenanigans. We had an issue with the ECU and it did not have VTEC working, but now that it's working, it should do pretty good. This guy decided to wear all white to the dyno so that he could get black and dirty. But anyway, we'll get this thing strapped up really quick and we'll see what it makes. Jonathan stopped by today and he was a little bit worried about his boost. It's been making like 5 pounds instead of like 9. So he thinks maybe he has a boost leak. And I thought, well, it's a perfect opportunity to show you guys a quick way to test your boost and see if it's leaking. At least you can test the boost piping and the overall intake system. So I've got like a quick, easy way to do it. There's a few different ways to do this, and depending on where or how your leak is, you might have to do it other ways. But this is probably the fastest way that I know how to do it. Let me show you really quick. Alright, as you can see, Jonathan's got his turbocharger sitting up here, and it's very accessible. The turbo inlet where the air goes into the whole motor comes through here. Once you're turbocharged, this becomes where your air filter would go essentially. And it plumbs it through the intercooler, all the way up and then into the intake manifold here. And assuming this is all sealed, which it should be, this whole thing all the way back over to here should be closed off. The only caveat is sometimes certain cars, the actual blow-off valve will sit open at idle, and his is like that, so we disconnected the vacuum line to the blow-off valve, and I just plugged it off so that it didn't become a leak as well. We'll put that back on after. So basically the next thing we got to do is go get our special tool that I got from Harbor Freight for like $5 or $6. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay. So I actually didn't buy these for this. I bought it to like move some furniture around, but then I realized how good they work for what this is. These are these little like moving slider things you put under furniture legs and slide around like heavy furniture. But the way they're constructed, it reminded me of a tool that I used to use in the machine shop that basically was a foam pad that would seal up like vacuum leaks, and we could test for head leaks and stuff as we were doing the machining process. These pads are basically just like foam blocks that will seal the air, but they kind of conform to the shape. So it makes it awesome. As you can see, we've already been trying this for kind of testing boost leak. And you could also like cut it down to size if you needed to slip it into a smaller space, you know, or use, they have like smaller ones and bigger ones for different sizes, but just like a hard, just like a plastic and then a foam. So anyway, I'll have Jonathan start his car up and then I'll show you guys exactly like how this thing works. Okay, hopefully you can still hear me. I'll just try to talk loud. We got our little plate, we got the blow-off valve closed, and we should have nothing else leaking. And we go ahead and cover up the intake. Now effectively, when you cover this up, you can hear it start to pull the air out of the system, and it tries to shut the car off. At some point, when there's no air going into the motor anymore, all that will be left is, you know, a vacuum system. You can kind of hear that. Obviously, his is sealing pretty good. You heard one little hiss, and that's he has a little vacuum port on his wastegate that's bleeding out just a little bit of vacuum. But aside from that, now that all these clamps are tight, we can verify basically that he doesn't have any. At least he doesn't have any vacuum leaks. And that's why I say there's many different ways to test this, but if you just have a little leak, you're down like 1 or 2 pounds, a lot of times this will help you find the actual problem. Anyway, I just thought that was like a fun, really silly quick tip if you guys wanted to check for boost. You know what, shoot, while we're on this topic, I figure I'll show you one more way. This is the other way that I test for boost leaks. This is just like a regular 2.5 to 3 silicone coupler that will fit on the front of, say, like Jonathan's turbo over there. This little piece here isn't like anything fancy. It's like it's a plumbing like pipe connector from the Home Depot. I think I've shown this on the channel before, but I figured I'd put them both together so you guys could see both ways to do this. Anyway, I drilled a little hole in this, and you can pressurize air into the inlet, and then you can actually move it up in PSI and see if you're starting to have a leak at a high boost level. Okay, so we got the air line on, and I just got one of these kind that has a little rubber nose on it. That way it will kind of like seal up pretty good for us, and we can just pull the trigger and regulate with our hand. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this onto the actual turbo right now, and then we'll show you how we put air in it. We just put air in this port and then listen for leaks, and a lot of times you can run your hand around the different couplers and kind of be able to tell where the air is actually coming from. Hold on, we're still leaking. Yeah, I mean, obviously this thing's pretty darn sealed up. Go ahead. Yeah, I think all of it's pretty much just coming out of our one line, which we already knew. So, pretty much no boost leaks. I think we're good to go. Alright, I figured I would just show you guys that really quick. Just 2 real simple, cheap ways to, you know, test for boost leak. Oh, the things that I see in here. Sometimes I never think I would see stuff like this, but...
Like what?
Like this cracked intake manifold over here.
You've never seen one like that before, have you?
Well, I have seen it 1 time or 2 times before, but...
Oh, you see one of mine?
I did. You did crack your intake manifold. Oh, yeah, Jonathan cracked his manifold a while ago.
Yeah, similar.
This is off of an Acura TSX, and it has cracked the entire 4-cylinder right across here, and you can actually see the crack up into here. And we were getting some water into a weird area, and we think it may have cracked from this port and been sucking down into that single valve. The funny thing is, we thought it was a blown head gasket, and we think maybe there's just the intake manifold was leaking water into that port, and it wasn't actually a blown head gasket, but I'm still investigating. It's really kind of hard to tell. Oh, there we go. Okay, if you look down here in the cylinder head, you can actually see that Honda coolant down there on that valve. And this is the port that's right next to where we think the crack is on the manifold right here. So we think the water was getting somehow from that port right there into that cylinder right there. Okay, this isn't the most scientific way to do things, but I took another one of those pads that we're using to test boost leaks, and we put some soapy water in there where we think the leak might be, and we sealed it all off and blew air in there, and sure enough, the little foamy soap bubbled up like crazy right where the crack was, and we were only spraying air into the water port. We had everything else like completely sealed off. So that means that even though the crack did not look like it hit the water port, it actually cracked all the way through to the water port. So that is where his water is going, into the cylinder, not the actual head gasket. I bet Emerson wishes he knew that before he changed the whole head gasket. I'm gonna try to see if I can weld it up. I don't know. It looks, I mean, I've welded the RBC manifolds up before, like when they're ported. So it's possible. I guess the part that I don't know is if I can get my welder into that small space. I may have to like cut it open, weld it, and then weld it back together. Alright, so I went ahead and back cut this manifold so I can fill it nicely with some weld once I get it heated up. But it's crazy because once you cut it apart, you can actually like really see the crack in there. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but it splits apart like super obviously. No matter how deep I keep cutting, you can see the crack goes all the way through. And it used to jump across here into this coolant port. So I'm gonna fill this and make it so these don't even connect anymore. And then we should be good to go. We shouldn't have this problem anymore. I got this all welded and I kind of cleaned it up a little bit with the Dremel. And hopefully we got it sealed enough. It's very hard to get between those two cracks. It doesn't really look like I got it, but I was able to weld up the side of it and then kind of cap it over and then weld around here. But I mean, who knows? It's very, very hard to see in that small of a gap. But hopefully that seals up this TSX manifold, and then we can get back on the dyno and make all the boost. I also blocked this thing off so that that's not an issue anymore because he had a cap on a little vacuum line. So it's not perfectly flat, but it's within like a few thousandths on both ends, so that should seal up just fine. Alright, it's all straightened up and cooled down. Now we just have to put it back on the car. It's kind of funny how the last little while it was pretty much all Nissans, and then lately, since I haven't actually been videoing anything, it's just been like Honda after Honda after Honda after Honda. Honda. But don't worry, we'll do some Nissan stuff soon because I love Nissans. This thing's pretty cool though. It made, I believe, 370 on his lowest boost setting. He does have a nice Garrett turbo though. Hey guys, welcome back. It's the next day after we welded Emerson's stuff up, and Panda stopped by. We've been ordering tons and tons of parts for the hatchback, and we're just finally getting to open it all up.
I think sport front wheel drive eBay special is going to be what we need right now.
Yeah, we've been on like a really cheap part buying kick lately. This whole entire fuel cell was, I believe, $60.
Look how great this looks for $60. It's got a little level in there.
Yeah, it's got a level sensor, and it's got this cool baffling and this little fuel sponge. You can kind of see it's like some spongy material that when the fuel sloshes back, it holds the fuel back here.
I'm just in awe.
It's kind of amazing because honestly, if I tried to build that out of aluminum here,
like $300.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the raw materials, I would cut it out of like a $150 sheet. It'd probably be $30 or $20 worth of sheet material. So I'm like, how is the world, like how can you even,
this.
Yeah, like it's pretty good.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's
so
already
good.
like sumped and it's got plugs and fittings.
Oh my God.
We'll have to creatively mount it ourselves. We've gotten all kinds of cool new stuff. This is something we found the other day. We'll go ahead and open it up right now and then we'll show you. But I did not know that this existed, and I actually was looking online searching this particular term and nobody had any listing, and then finally I found it. So I'll show you in a second what it is, but it'll totally make sense when you see it.
Okay.
Ta-da!
Ooh,
More packaging that we can't get into.
These are...
Those are kind of hard foam box. You would think that they'd be soft, but
Let me see.
ow! No, ow. Okay, so yeah, it's just like it showed in the picture. I'm really, really excited. Okay, the term that I was searching when I was looking for this all those times is double backdoor intercooler. And the reason that applies is when you're doing a setup like we're doing on this Honda right now, sometimes you want to you need more space basically. So it's kind of a space saving design. If you see, the turbo is right over here and the outlet, you know, comes here. So if you're able to come down and forward into an intercooler inlet that's right here in this corner, come across the intercooler and go right here and back up, then it saves you all this space in this front corner for things like, say, batteries or even a fuel tank. I do believe we're actually going to put a fuel surge tank here and some fuel pumps, and then the intercooler, and then possibly a battery here, which will leave us more room in the engine bay for catch cans and other items. But I'm still kind of like not sure if it's going to fit. We kind of looked at the sizing and thought it'll probably go.
Oh man, look at that.
But it's pretty nice. I mean, if you guys think about the things that typically go wrong in an intercooler, not having a cast end, sometimes the welded up ones can blow out at the seams. So it's really nice having a thick casting and only having it welded to the actual core. So you can also clamp way tighter on a cast end than you can on like a pipe end. So what did we actually pay for that? I think $150?
I don't think it was like 120.
I think it was 150. We'll have to look that up. I'm pretty sure it was like about, it was 100 and something on eBay.
If you look up what...
Yeah, it's Rev 9 double backdoor intercooler. It says it's rated for 550. We'll have to see.
Really thick though.
We'll have to see. We've got a turbo that's rated for it says 6 to 700 on a B18. This is rated for 550. We've got some injectors and fuel system that should be rated for all of it. The motor can handle everything that we can throw out of it. Like, the clutch will handle everything. We have a comp triple disc. So it'll be fun to see if we can make more horsepower than they say on this intercooler. So that's definitely my goal. Okay, Steve's starting to drill the spot welds off on that front plate so we can fit the intercooler. We were trying to just think of, you know, he only gets a few hours here a week because of his job, but we're trying to think of something we could tackle right now. It seems like maybe we could get the intercooler mounted, so we're going to try to do that, and that looks cool, you know? It's fun to put the intercooler up in the front. So we're going to drill all the spot welds right now, remove that piece, and see if we can mount that sucker. Okay, now that we got that all cut off, I'll show you guys how it came out. Panda went ahead and did the spot weld drilling, and then we cleaned this one up with a grinder to like kind of flush out the leftover stuff, so it's just like a nice flat plate. I didn't really want to take any more off because there's places to like mount things. You never know, you want to mount something here or add a bar down. You can kind of use these body areas to kind of put other items. So anyway, this side's like the finished good looking side. I already grinded up. This is what it looked like right after we did the spot welds without cleaning it up. It's kind of ugly, but I'll go ahead and clean this side up. In general though, look at how much room we have for activities. This whole area is now like pretty much open, and I believe the intercooler might actually fit. Oh my gosh, it's like
so much
dude, it's like it was meant to be in there. You guys just saw that in the last clip. It didn't fit at all. Not even a little bit.
So good now.
Yeah, you guys can see the turbo outlet comes down right here, and it's almost a straight shot into the intercooler. Move the oil line over. It'll go straight down there. And on this side, it'll come right up over there and into the throttle body.
Yeah.
And the only thing we have to do is just fit a radiator in this area possibly. So
maybe.
But
right here somewhere?
Yeah, we'll fit it. I just got finished up tuning that Integra you saw in the clips or whatever. It was a super fun car. It's not very often that cars come to the dyno, make 300 for their first time coming to the dyno, and have like 0 problems. No leaks, no issues, literally. So solid job on that guy's part. Got his car ready. Anyway, I know this has been a super random vlog, and I'm gonna go ahead and like end it here. But I just wanted to say hi to everybody and kind of get back on the video. I got a bunch of stuff coming. You know, like I always say that, but I'm gonna try my very best to get some more stuff filmed and kind of show you all the things that are happening. So, all right, until next time, take it easy, guys. How did it do? Really? Boost by gear, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.